Section 7.4, Part 1. Okay, so 7.4, we officially have all the rules. So hopefully you've gone over the chapter, you've looked at Hurley's hints, and I'm just going to help you guys out in understanding how to do the homework. So the new ones are right here. So you have transposition, you have material implication, material equivalence, exportation, and tautology. I will say implication is probably the one you use the most often, and trans is probably the second one. Material equivalence only works with a triple bar, so keep that in mind whenever you see a triple bar, just think equivalence. And exportation, that's just kind of like a pattern one, a lot like distribution, so just keep those in mind. Okay, so for part 1, again, they're going to tell us what rule we're supposed to apply, and we just have to go through and ask ourselves which one actually does work, okay? So with implication, you have P to Q is logically equivalent to not P or Q, okay? Implication, like I said, is the one you use a lot. So if we look at this, line 1 doesn't have a negation on it, so that's not going to help us. Line 2, the negation's in a bad place. It should be on the other side. And then if you look at line 3, it's perfect. So you have not G or Q. That's equivalent to not P or Q. So what we're going to end up with is G, horseshoe, Q, and we're going to use line 3. Okay, so exportation is the idea where you have a dot or you have two horseshoes. Now, the key here is the horseshoes around, the parentheses around the dot have to be in that order. Okay, so if you see like line 3, it does not work. Exportation only works a certain way. So just to remind you, it's right down here. Okay, so it has to be parentheses around the dot, and then you can go to the two horseshoes. So looking at this one right here, number 2, that's definitely not going to work. There's no wedges. This one's not going to work. The parentheses aren't in the right place. So the first one's the only one we can use. And what will end up happening is you get to change where that dot is going to be located. Everything stays in the same place. It's just the parentheses change and then the dot as well. So you're going to use line 1. Okay, number 3 is with transposition. So with transposition, what you're ended up doing is you're going to flip around a horseshoe and you put a negation on both of them. So right away, we know that one's not going to work and we know that one's not going to work. It doesn't have a horseshoe. So it has to be line 2. So you're going to have not P to not H. So like I said, you flip them and then you add a negation to both of them. Okay, and then for number 4, you're doing equivalence. And there are 2 ways you can do equivalence. It's the horseshoe around the parentheses and a dot between the 2. And as you can see, that is our only choice. That's not going to work. It's got wedges, and this is not going to work for so many reasons because there's a wedge. Okay, so if you're looking up here, B to N, okay, and then you have N to B. So what you end up with is simply B triple bar, and there you go, N, and you're going to use line 1. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Just make certain you go through each one and ask yourself, can you actually apply it? And for these, it should look exactly like it does on that little sheet I gave you. If you haven't found that sheet by now, it's at the very bottom of other modules. It's in the important documents.